Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today we Megillah daf Chav Vav. We are going to begin on the bottom of Chav Hey Amud Beis by the new Mishnah, new parak. B'nei ha'ir shemach rechoy b'shel ir. If you have people in the city, they decide to sell the square of the city, in which we're going to see it. According to this opinion, there is an element of kedusha, of sanctity there. Loichin b'dama beis hachnesas. With it, they can purchase a synagogue, which has a higher level of kedusha. Beis hachnesas loichin teva. Teva loichin mitpachot. Mitpachos is the covering for the Sefer Torah. Mitpachos, they sell that. As we continue, Aleph, Yichu Svarim. Then they can purchase Svarim, which Rashi says is Nach. Svarim loichin Torah. However, it has to only be Mal Mekaidish, not the other way around. Abel imach with Torah loyichu Svarim. Svarim loyichu mitpachos. Pachos loyichu Teva. Teva loyichu beis hachnesas. Beis hachnesas loyichu eser achoiv. So why is this? We're going to hold off on the last two words in a second. So Rashi tells us, this is question 7, Menolan Shemal B'Kodesh. How do we know that you go up in Kedusha? So Rashi says like this, Mal B'Kodesh V'Meridin. We know this expression famously from the Shita Beis Hillel when it comes to Hanukkah candles, that we light one and we're Moiseh B'Hoylach because of this concept. So Tosefta Mal B'Kodesh T'chsav Yaakov Moshe as a Mishkan. It says that Moshe was the one who erected the Mishkan, but Sal also he actually made it. U'Moshe Shahayi Gadol Mimenu Hikimu. He's the one who erected it. He's the one who established it. So why was it that Moshe did it? Because even though Basal made it, but Moshe should be the one that, as we go up in Kedusha, he should be the one that does the Hakamas Mishkan. B'Lomaridin dechsev esmachtos hachatayim o'ela b'nafshay yisam v'yasu oisim ekri pachim supel mizbech yikribul lefnei Hashem yikadashu kivan shehukdashu hukdashu adkan. So it brings down, when it came to the Bnei Kairach, that when it came to their items, they used them, even though you would think, well, they're gone, they were punished, doesn't make any difference. They still used them as covers for the Mizbech. Because once it was an element of Kedusha, we're not going to go down. So the Mishnah says, so too its extras. Says Rashi, Machus Smarim v'lachu mix. You can't say, let's say you have Svarim, which cost $1,000, and you buy a Sefer Torah with that money, which is okay, but let's say that Sefer Torah only costs you $800, now you have $200 left. You can't use that $200 for something less. Even the extra still has to be used for something which is a higher level. Gemara. B'nei ir shemar chorechei b'shel ir. So we're talking, obviously, that the Rechoy B'Shel Ir has Kedusha. So I'm a Rabbi Mechana, I'm Rabbi Yochanan, and Zidiv Rabbi Menachem Bar Yosis Nimata. When it comes to the Rechov, there's no Kedusha by it, and therefore it's not an issue. You can sell it, and you can use those monies for anything. Rabbi Menachem Bar Rabbi Yosi, my time, because when it comes to, as we saw in Masechtas Tainus, if they're unsuccessful in having the rain come, so they would go in the outside to the Rachayiv to be Mispal. Also when it comes to Mamadais, when it comes to the reciting of various sections of Parshas Bereshis, so it was also done B'Rachayiv. Rabban Hu Akroi Ba'alma. What does that mean? Rashi says, Eno Tadir. It's not something which is constant, and therefore it doesn't take upon itself an element of Kedusha. Beis Hachnesas Leichem Teva. So Rabbi Shimon ben Nachmani, Rabbi Yona's son, Lo Shanu. The only time we say you can, let's say, for example, sell a Beis Hachnesses is El Beis Hachnesses Shel Kfarim. If it's of a small village, of a Beis Hachnesses Shel Krachim, which of a large city, which a lot of people go to it, Kivan de Me Almak Asu, since other people come by, Asule Lo Matzil Mizavle. You can't sell it. The Havili Derabim, because it belongs to everyone, says Rashi. Because everyone's going there, they're like, everyone has ownership. Not just the people in the city have bailis, but people who also go from far and wide because they're constantly traveling into these large cities. So krachim are not allowed to sell. Ravashi, when it comes to the city Machasi, they come because of me. If I wish to sell it, I'm allowed. Tursim are people that worked with copper. Shahi b'Yerushalayim shemachru Rabbi Eliezer b'Yosef kol sarachav. That he used that money for whatever he needs. So what right did he have to sell it? It was a krach. So Gemara answers, the zuti havi. It was a small shul, and v'inu avdua. And again, it was something which was really for him. It was not something which was for the rabbim, and therefore was allowed to be sold. The pasuk says, "Bebeis eretz achuzaschem." So what do we draw? What's the drasha? Achuzaschem etamim negoyim. Only that which is your possessions, your property, has the ability for it to contract the level of tumah, of tumas negoyim, of saras. And Yerushalayim etamim negoyim. And Yerushalayim cannot become tummy because it doesn't have the din of achuzaschem, because it was not given over to shvatim. Rabbi Yehuda, ani lo shemati el makam mikdash bolvad. I only know that the holy area of the base of Mikdash has this din. Now, which is a diak, mashma habati kaneses bati midrashas matam. When it comes to shuls, it could become tame, which means it has a din of achuzaschem. Amai hadikrachim havi. The question is, if it's like krachim, so it belongs to everyone. So it doesn't really have a din of bailus of achuzaschem. Whereas says you're right, shuls will not become kadosh, maybe, or emo Rabbi Yehuda ani lo shemati el makam mekudesh bovad. It's only things which are mekudesh, which have sanctity, which actually in this case is inclusive of a beis hachneses, that it does not have the ability to become tamei. Says Rashi, the lav achuzihi knamrino lekaman destir lehaitano lo nischach Yerushalayim lo shvatim lo naflo begaro lo Yehuda lo Binyamin. That when it came to the various gorolos, the city of Yerushalayim was not divided up among tribes, and therefore it doesn't have a din of achuzaschem. Fine. Says Rashi, v'gam negoyim uvo asher lo habayis be'inan of Yerushalayim metamim negoyim the sever neschach l'shvatim. Okay. So again, this machlokas, what the din is, whether Yerushalayim has the houses have the ability to become tamei, is whether or not you say it's neschach l'shvatim. Fine. So my comifki Tanaka Masavar ol neschach Yerushalayim l'shvatim. Yehuda Savar neschach Yerushalayim l'shvatim. But put the hani tanoi. That machlokas is based on the following tanoi. The sanya me'ahoy b'chelcha shel Yehuda. What was in the portion of Yehuda? Har bayis, halashchasais, like the Lishchas Hagazis, all these places about Zara, he said there's Nashim, there's Israel, etc. Umahay b'chelcha shel Binyamin, the Ulam room, which is the room that entered into the Heichel, to the Kodesh, the Heichel itself, the Beis Kasher Kadashim. All of those areas were Binyamin. That very important room, the Kodesh Kadashim, the Kodesh, the Heichel, the Ulam, that was Binyamin. Now, what is all this mashma? It's very clear. It was obviously the schach l'shvatim. And there was this little strip that connected the two. And on this area is where the mizbeach was built, as though to say that this was this area in which the mizbeach had a connection to both. Levoila, he wished to absorb it, that he should have the entire chelik in it. Because of his desire to have a close connection, a unique, unified connection with Hashem, so therefore he became the host of the Shechina. Now that clearly is that Tana says that Nischach l'shvatim. V'hai Tana saber lo Nischach Yerushalayim l'shvatim. This opinion that we don't have ownership, the Sanya. Ein maskirin batim Yerushalayim, that we don't rent out houses. Ein she'ein shulhen, because you don't really own them. This is specifically talking about, as Rashi says, when people would be oilu regel, you actually had to let them stay there for free. Even the beds, you can't charge for anything. Because they weren't compensated for the room that they're provided, so therefore the hides of kodshim, they used to be able to grab them by force, because this way at least they had something given back to them. Rabbi, it's the proper way, lemishbach inish gulpa umashcha b'ushpize. It's good to take this like wine cask and its hides and to give it over to your ushpizen. Okay. And Rashi says, Im shachat behema, if you shecht an animal, that's good that you should give this to the host. Amarava, lo shanu, the only time we say, says Rashi, the ein moridin domim mikudushasan, that the kedusha does not go down, is ella, that we don't want it to go down, ella shalom machor shivatu be'ir b'mayim b'an she'ir. If it was not done in like you have like a board of 7 people that are involved in what's best for the city. Abu machor shivatu be'ir b'mayim b'an she'ir. Afilu, as we continue chavav and beis, afilu mishnah beis shichra shaper dami. Even to buy beer for a party is acceptable. Says Rashi, liknos bedamin velasos schar lishtas. So that is the din. There's no kedusha on that situation when it's accepted upon the shiva tuve ha'ir, the 7 good people of the city who their interests are for the sake of the city. So therefore, if it's sold, the kedusha of it is removed in a way in that it could be used for anything. Ravina havile hahu tila, the bekanista. So Ravina had this like heap, which means it was a destroyed beis achnesas. Also, it came to Rav Ashi, so they went to Rav Ashi. Malay mahula mizra. Am I allowed to plant on this area this heap of earth in which at one point was a shul? So Malay zil zavne mishiva toveir b'mabinan she'ir v'zara. Why don't you sell it with these people and then you can plant? Rami bar Abba Habika Bani Be Kanista, he was building a shul. Haviyahi Kanista Atika. There was an older shul, Havi Boy Lemistere. His goal was to knock it down. Yasui Livne Ukshiri Mina, and to be able to take its bricks, a lot of its raw materials, and use it for the newer shul. The Ayalil Hasam, the Yosef Kam Boyle, Had Rav Chisda. The Rav Chisda lo lister bekanista ad the bani bekanista achriti. You're not allowed to knock down one shul until another one is built. Now Hasam Mishim Peshiusa. Maybe the whole issue is because you may be negligent and you'll never rebuild the new one. Ki haigav namai. In this situation, maybe it's okay because you need it for the raw materials. Everything's planned. So Hasam Rav Papa, the Asile. Rav Papa said, no, you cannot do that. Look, made Rav Huna vi Asile. Amarava haibe kanista chalufa uzvuna shari. If you have a shul in which it is for an exchange or a sale, it is mutter. Ugru umashchona aser. If you're going to rent it out or use it as collateral, it's aser. My timer b'kedushasa koi, because it retains its kedusha. Livni nami, its bricks as well. Chalufinhu uzvininhu shari. That if you wish to do an exchange or to sell, that's allowed. However, if when it comes to these bricks, if uzafinhu, if you want to lend them out, aser, that you're not allowed to do. Hanimili ba'atikta. That's if we're talking about it's old. As Rashi says, "Shenibnu kfar b'koisel b'sachneses shenafal." You had a house and the walls and it fell down. If it's new, it's not a problem. When it comes to if you hasmana, perhaps just having the das of using it, even if it wasn't done before, the whole issue is if, let's say, you weave something for a mace, so therefore already at that point it's aser b'hana, it can't be used for anything else, says Rashi. The Sanhedrin, Perek Number Hadin, can be orig begel mace, the aser b'hazmana b'tachrichi hamace, the aser b'hana, the gamin shamshan the egla rufa. There's just the egla rufa, aser b'hana, so to these garments, but that's only when it comes to orig begel mace. Avahacha kitavi l'orig dam b'lekel man di oimer. Over here, it's like a step removed, that it wasn't prepared yet. It was like woven in order for it to ultimately get to the level of being sewn as a garment. So that is acceptable. Matana. What is the din when it comes to a gift? So please give a Rav Acham or Rav Yinachad, Aser V'chad Shari. Mandi Aser, one who says it's Aser, as Rashi says, Nasu b'nei ir beis achnesas with tashmishi chayil. If they give over shul for non-holy purposes, so why would one say it's Aser? Bahai tifka kedushasa. In this, like, where did the kedusha go? Mandishari ilav the havile hanamine lo havi yoivle hader havile matana kazvini. Because they're not just, it's even though it's a gift, it's not really a gift, because when you give a gift, you probably have some intention of hopefully getting something back in return. And therefore, when they gave it as a gift, it's almost like a zvine. It's like a sale, and therefore they're getting something back out of it. And therefore, that's why, as we said before, when it comes to a sale or an exchange, that it's mutter. Okay, Tanurban. Tashmishi mitzvah. When it comes to tashmishi mitzvah, which things that you use for a mitzvah, so nizrakin, they can be literally thrown away. Tashmishi kedusha nignozen. However, things which have sanctity, you'd have to do geniz. It has to be buried. Ve'elhin tashmishi mitzvah. Sukkah, lulav, shayfer, tzitzis. All of these different things technically are allowed to be thrown away. Ve'elhin tashmishi kedusha deluskeme svarim. As Rashi says, sak, it's like a covering for the Torah, or svarim, tefillin, mezuzos, v'tik shel sefer Torah, v'nartik shel tefillin, v'rutsuoi sehen, and its straps, it's leather straps. All these are considered to be kedusha, as a davar kedusha, and therefore it's kedusha, it's tashmishi kedusha, and it has to be buried. Omer Rabba, initially havamina hai kursaya tashmish to tashmishu. I originally thought when it came to this bima of wood that it was like a tashmish to tashmish. The sharing, you can basically just discard it. Once they saw that we put directly onto the beam of the Torah, I mean in tashmish kedusha huva aser. So now it becomes the level of tashmish kedusha. Rabbi. Mareish originally habamina hai parisa, this curtain tashmish to tashmishu. Kivada chazina de aifile, that they remove it, umanchi sifra alai, and they rest a sefer on it. Amina tashmish kedusha uvaser. V'yom Rabbi hai tivuta de irpat mi'av de teva zutrasi shari. So says Rashi, the irpat is aron shnis kalkel, an ark that became like ruined. So in that situation, you can make it into a smaller one. It's allowed. Kursaya aser, says Rashi. Kursaya, ma'avdi kursaya, a bima, you're not allowed to make it into a bima because you're lowering its kedusha. So to take a teva and to maybe make it a little bit smaller, that's okay, because bigger to smaller, it's still a teva. However, to lower its kedusha, that is not allowed to be done. If you have this curtain in which was used for the aron and it's all worn out, so in that situation, the bola, it's all worn out, to use as a cover for the Torah, it's allowed. L'chumashin aser, you can't use it to cover a chumash. The Yomi Rabba hani zvine zavile, rather the chumshe, when it comes to these covers of the chumash, they come to re the sifrei and boxes of svarim tashmish kedushin inhu v'nichnos, and has to be buried. So pshita, why would you think it's not a tashmish kedusha? Ma de temahani the lava kavod avdinan. It wasn't used for honor, rather lenturi ba'alma vidi. It was just to protect it. Kamash Milan, and therefore because of it, it has to be buried. Hahu bekanista dihudoi. Romoi. There was this shoal in the Roman quarters of the Jewish people. Davi pasiach lahahu id roina, that it was open to an antechamber. Davi machas be mace, in which was opened up to a dead body. Vahavi boy kahani lamel with suye hasam. Kohanim used to go there to daven. Also, Amru leil Rabba Amru lahu, he said to him, Dalo tivusa. Lift up the aron, svua dahavile kli eitz asule nachas, and then all of a sudden it becomes a kli eitz which is moved. Kli eitz and asule nachas and makabel tuma, and that in itself is not makabel tuma. The chaytzis b'nei tuma, and it will be a blocker from the tuma, so therefore the kohanim will not become tummy mace. Amrli rabban l'rabba v'haz zimna the metaltali. Sometimes they move it. Kimanach sefer Torah lie, when they put a Torah on it. Dahavile metaltala moli v'reikum. It's something which is moved when it's empty and full. So yihachilu afshir, you're not allowed to do that, and therefore it's not a blockage for tuma. Amar zutra mitbachos svarim shabalu. When it comes to these coverings for sefer which got all worn out, ayisanosa tachrichin lames. mitzvah. So we use it for tachrichin shrouds for a mace mitzvah. Zuhi genizasan, and that's how it's buried. Rabbi Sefer Torah Shabbalah, when you have a Sefer Torah which is worn out, goin zino so eitzel Talmud Chacham. When they'll actually bury the Sefer Torah together with the Talmud Chacham. They feel shen halacha, even if all he did was learn halacha. Amarav Acha Bar Yaakov B'Kli Cheres. However, it should be placed in an earthenware vessel. Shnemer and Nesatim B'Kli Cheres L'man Yamdu Yamim Rabim. That it should be placed into this earthenware vessel so that it will be able to last for extended periods of time. I'm going to stop here. Let's see a couple questions. Question 8. What is the difference? The plukta de tanoi Yerushalayim eschalch l'shvatim olo. So one is whether batim are matame b'mnegoyim in Yerushalayim, or if you're allowed to rent out houses. Okay, which is in question number 8. So let me just mark this down over here. Question 8: Ein maschirin batim b'Yerushalayim. That's one din. You can't rent it out. And also the question of whether or not a house is metama negoyim, based on the pasuk of mebeis eretz achuzaschem metama negoyim ve'ein Yerushalayim metama negoyim. Okay, that was question 8. 2 answers to that. Question 9. Be'elu ofanim muter l'shtamish b'moiser mois the davar kedusha chol davar. When can you use it? One is if hisnu zayin tuvi ir umamadam. So that's one answer, which we mentioned also on Chavav and Aleph, which is question 9. But there's going to be another answer, which we'll see on tomorrow's daf. TA 14. Ma ha'isa ha'havamina. What was the havamina? Look at this question. Shetevish shel seven Torah chaytzetzes kadei shloi teitze hatoma umadu maskana enu chaytzetzes. So originally we thought that it would be a good blocker. This is TA 14. Why it's Kli 8, Hasoil Nachas, because it stays in basically one place. However, since Zimnid Mataltal, they move it when they move when they rest the Sefer Torah on it, therefore it's Mataltal. So if it's a Kli 8 Hasoil Nachas, then it's okay, right? Then if it's the Havili Kli 8 Hasoil Nachas, Kli 8 Hasoil Nachas, however, once zimnin the metaltal ki manach sefer Torah alayah havile metaltal mali v'reikum, so therefore lo afshir, which again was TA 14, which we just saw. Let's see, TB 16. Maha nafkamina ladina benina mishalayim neschach l'shvatim alo, which again we already saw that answer. Adkan.